Here we see the population change compared to 2011. So from 2011 to 2019, how much the population had changed in the Arctic region. This map actually shows, if you look at the red areas, there is a decrease in the population around 4%. So this is mainly in the Russian Siberian area and other things. Whereas if you look at the green one, there are more than 4% of the population. That means more number of people had actually occupied the Canada's northwest territory, and other areas have not much difference, especially this side of the Canada. There is not much increase in the population, whereas these areas near the Greenland, lots of people had actually migrated to these areas. So that is what this population density map actually shows. And the next one is the environmental impact. When we look at the environmental impact, local and global consequences are there. That means the sea ice decline, the local consequences are sea ice decline, temperature rise, glacial retreat, and the permafrost thaw. These are all the local events. And when we look at the global change, it is actually ocean acidification, jet stream changes, and rise in the sea level. These are all the environmental impact that happens in the Arctic region. This is due to rapid climate change that is caused by the human activities that leads to melting of ice caps, thawing of permafrost, and altered wildlife habitats. Some of the industrial activities also is responsible for the environmental impact, which include oil and gas extraction, shipping, and mining. This leads to pollution, habitat destruction, and disturbance to wildlife. Here are the various industrial activities that happens in the Arctic region, especially this Russian Federation area. There are many activities that are happening. Similarly, in the Europe also, there are many industrial activities that are happening. And if you look at the coast near Alaska, in Alaska there are lots of industrial activities are happening, but not in the Canadian region or in the Greenland. Now, the most important one is the geopolitical tension that is happening in the Arctic region. The strategic location and the resource wealth of Arctic region actually leads to territorial disputes between various countries, that is the competition among the Arctic nations. So the major issues are concern over sovereignty, military build-up, and the environmental protection are the major areas of concern between different countries. The Arctic Council serves as a forum for cooperation. We will be looking at the functioning and other aspects of Arctic Council in the later part of this series. There are various diplomatic efforts are happening to manage the disputes and promote peaceful collaboration to ensure stability and sustainability in this region. So these are some of the activities that is happening at the geopolitical level. And what are all the major concern? The first one is military activity and spending. Many Arctic nations, that is the NATO allies, have increased their military presence and spending and exercises. So this increases the geopolitical tension. Some of the countries have territorial claims. For example, control of maritime boundaries and resource richness in the Lomonosov Ridge is being claimed by various countries. Sweden, Russia, and other countries are claiming that all this area belongs to us. Then again, there is resource competition. Arctic region contains about 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and about 30% of its undiscovered natural gas. So obviously there are various countries which are going towards Arctic region to get all these resources. And environmental protection is also a major concern. Differences in regulatory standard between the countries, enforcement mechanisms, and environmental policies affect one another. And similarly, the disagreements and conflicts over resource extraction and conservation priorities are also creating a lot of tension. International cooperation is being sought by many countries. So the Arctic Council basically helps to reduce these geopolitical rivalries and improve collaborative efforts. And the search and rescue operation is another way many of the countries are collaborating. So the Arctic nations had actually established the agreements and protocol for coordination. This we had seen in the Arctic definition in the previous module. So here we can see the Russian northernmost military base. So this is also one of the reasons there is a geopolitical tension that exists in the Arctic region. The next one is the North Sea route. The declining sea ice is actually having a positive effect. That's what we say here, that it opens up the new shipping route through the Arctic region. The NSR is basically emerging as a strategic maritime corridor, offering a shorter shipping route between Europe and Asia. This will increase the trade between these two places. And the opportunities are basically the reduced transit times and the cost for cargo ships. The challenges are the ice is still there in many parts of this Arctic region, that is Arctic Northern Sea route. So that means unpredictable ice conditions, lack of infrastructure and environmental risk are some of the reasons due to which people are not exploring the Northern Sea route to the maximum extent. Because if you have to traverse through the Northern Sea route, we do need an icebreaker during when there is ice. But because of the climate change, the sea ices are melting, so the shipping route is actually getting exposed for more number of periods in a year. So this is actually seen by the increased shipping activity through the Northern Sea route. Over 32 million tons of cargo had shipped in 2020 alone. And the icy conditions, basically the declining Arctic sea ice is actually opening up of the NSR for longer period every year. Even in the summer, the transit times between Europe and Asia had actually drastically reduced. That means around 40% the transit distance had reduced because of this Northern Sea route. And this reduces the shipping cost and the fuel consumption. The economic impact and infrastructure development is a major concern here, because although the economic opportunities exist for the Arctic nations and the shipping companies, it comes with a cost. The construction of new ports, icebreakers and navigation aids to improve safety and efficiency along the route is a major challenge that is currently existing. And the geopolitical implications include increased shipping activity along the NSR also raises questions about sovereignty, environmental protection and maritime security in the Arctic region. The advantage of NSR over the Suez Canal, if you look at, this is the northeast passage. This is the northwest passage. So the Northern Sea route is actually part of the northeast passage. So this has here is a Europe and this part is the Asian countries. So this shorter distance Northern Sea route reduces the distance, and the reduction in distance leads to fuel savings, lower cost of staff labor and chartering vessels. And there is no payment for the passage, whereas in the Suez Canal everybody has to pay. There are no queues and the risk of pirate is practically nil. So these are the major advantages of using the Northern Sea route for the transit. Next one is the scientific research.